Are you a health or a life coach who is wondering whether or not they should run a promotion this Black Friday? If so, stay tuned. I'm going to be talking all about whether or not doing something for Black Friday is going to be right for you and your business. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health, life and spiritual coaches get more clients so they can generate more income and live their most aligned life. And today on the show, we're talking all about Black Friday. So Black Friday is approaching. It is on November the 24th, 2023. Now, if you are in the States, this might be like a no-brainer to you, but I am recording this and hopefully you can tell from my accent. I am in the UK where Black Friday is not a traditional, you could argue if it's traditional anywhere, but is not like a traditionally big thing, although it has become a thing over the last few years. And I just wanted to go through some of the pros and cons because I've learned a lot, I think, through the last couple of years about how I like to do stuff at Black Friday. And I wanted to share some of the pros and cons and just some of the things that you might want to consider when you're thinking about whether or not you want to run something. And if you do, some tips for if you decide that you do want to do something. So like I say, I am recording this from a UK perspective. For anyone who needs a bit of background, and this is very much from Google, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving in the States, and it was traditionally like a really big shopping day in the lead up to Christmas. We've also got Cyber Monday, which is kind of on the other side of the weekend. And it's just become this point in time where a lot of big corporate businesses will offer huge discounts in order to increase their profits, basically. So we've got this kind of big thing happening, and it's kind of grown. It's expanded from the United States. It's definitely a thing in the UK. I definitely believe it's a thing in Europe. I'm guessing further afield as well. And it's not just your Amazons and, companies like that who are running offers. I've run an offer, I think the last 2 years, I want to say. I've run offers. A lot of coaches, a lot of people in, the business to consumer and business to business spaces will be running offers, but it's not right for everybody. And the offer that you also put out, you want to have a bit of a think about that as well, basically. So with all that said, how do you know if running an offer for Black Friday is right for you? I think the first thing that you want to ask yourself is, how does Black Friday sit with you ethically? Because there is a lot of ethical considerations when it comes to Black Friday. For a lot of people, they will connect Black Friday with, the very corporate kind of overconsumption, non-sustainable, mass-produced, exploitative kind of practices that we've come to know and love from a lot of the, the ways that capitalist culture is kind of perpetuated in the world, to try and sum it up. So it is a really, really tricky one. And like I say, a lot of people will associate Black Friday with that. And clearly for these massive big businesses, there are very clear ethical issues around that. We're not massive businesses. Like, I don't think anyone watching this is going to be a massive corporate business. So it's not the same thing for us, but being associated, and I'm going to get onto this in a moment, with Black Friday, you need to consider how that sits with you ethically and also from a brand point of view, which, like I say, I will get onto in a sec. Another attached ethical concern to consider is that if you are putting out an offer around Black Friday, you will be employing urgency. Now, employing urgency in your marketing is a separate ethical consideration that you will need to make. Personally, I am okay with that because it's something that I'm all right with being on the other side of it. But that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that it has to be yours. So these are things that you might want to consider when it comes to whether or not running a Black Friday thing is actually right for you. Another side of the kind of ethical equation with Black Friday is that for some people, especially given where we are in the current economic situation with the cost of living, issues that we have, Black Friday deals do make certain items, certain offers more accessible to people who might otherwise not be able to access them financially. So from that point of view, that's like a slight kind of like a different angle from the ethical consideration side of things. So there's all these different things. And again, you can really, really look into this in more depth if you wish, but it's either going to sit with you right or it's not. And I really think that's something that you need to explore. There's other points I'm going to touch on now as well. And I think taking the ethical side of things into consideration against some of these other points is what you want to consider when you are making the decision. So I'll jump into some of these other things, and then you can have a bit of a think about where all of this kind of stacks up for you and your business. So the next thing that you're going to want to consider if you are thinking about running a Black Friday offer is your business's offer structure and whether or not it makes sense given what it is that you have available to do an offer. Usually we're talking about a 4-day, it's not many people now do just an offer on Black Friday itself. Usually we're talking about the Friday to the Monday, or maybe even the Thursday, like Thanksgiving to the Monday. And you could extend it longer if you wanted to. But generally speaking, if you only have a high ticket one-to-one coaching offer, there's a lot of considerations to come into that. Whether or not you want to offer a discount on that, there's things you're going to want to think about. Like, first of all, you're giving people a very small window to make a decision. And I mean, you could kind of change it so that you're saying to people, well, as long as you get in touch before the end of Cyber Monday, you can lock in that discount on the one-to-one coaching. It's a small window of time for people to make a decision on something that is a high ticket price. So there's that. I mean, there's ways to work around it, but that's something to consider. There's another element, again, which I'm going to get into in a sec. If you have lower cost offers, I mean, I tend to think that Black Friday is all about your kind of like mini offers, like your courses and programs, like your digital stuff, maybe even your one-off calls could be really good. I talk a lot about, I've got a full course where I talk about priceless power hours. I will put a link in the description, and these can be really wonderfully used with Black Friday. So there's a whole bunch of things that you could offer, but I tend to think that your one-to-one coaching offer is not a good one for a range of reasons to include in a Black Friday deal. But all of if you've got them, your small digital products, your courses, one-off calls and stuff, they tend to work really wonderfully well at Black Friday potentially. But again, there's more considerations to be had. So as long as you've got those kind of offers in your business, then that's something to consider. There's also the option that you could create an offer for Black Friday. If you really felt like this is the right time for me to put something out, you could create a brand new offer just for Black Friday and offer that as well. And then alongside of this, another thing to consider with Black Friday is how, and this kind of links back into the ethical side of it as well slightly, I mean, all of these are very much interlinked, is where does Black Friday sit with your brand and how your brand feels? Now, if you have a very quote unquote high level brand with high prices and you've got this, very high end, high priced one-to-one coaching package and you slap a discount on for Black Friday, that is going to feel jarring to your brand and could potentially damage how that coaching offer is received in the future. And it kind of for want of a better phrase, kind of cheapens your brand a little bit. So you really want to consider some of these things in with it, how does Black Friday kind of intersect with your brand, and really kind of feel, like I say, this comes into do you have the right offers and things in place, and just kind of get a sense of where some of those things are at and what's going to make sense. If your whole vibe is more experimental, if you have a couple of little mini offers here and there and smaller things for sale, then actually Black Friday probably fits in quite well. I mean, this is my kind of take on it personally, is that I'm all about the experimental things. I have a multitude of smaller offers, and Black Friday just feels like something kind of fun to participate in. Although from another point of view, I don't like the whole mass consumption thing. It's a very difficult one to get right. I've got some tips on that in a minute, but that's where I kind of sit with it right now, but it might change. I don't know. It might change. It's also worth mentioning as well that your Black Friday offer does not have to be a discount. It could be a time limited bonus that you add on as well. This is something that is feeling certainly for higher priced offers, I think this feels like a much nicer thing to offer than a discount potentially. But again, feel out, see what feels right for you and your brand and your business. Another thing that you need to ask yourself is the reward worth the effort? Now, real talk. If your business is still quite small and you don't have a particularly large list or a large kind of audience or community or following right now, then it might be that actually the effort that you have to go to in terms of putting together the emails that you might want to sell it, to putting together the promotion and things like that for, how much it is that you're charging for what it is that you have, just isn't actually worth it for the cost of participating in something that you might not feel 100% comfortable with in terms of where it sits with you ethically, if this makes sense. This is why I'm saying all these things need to be weighed up, because if you're a bit on the fence with Black Friday from an ethical point of view, and you've already got a small business, with less than 100 people on your email list, I wouldn't bother with it personally. I don't think there's going to be enough like return on the energy that you're going to put into it, in all honesty, just real talk. But if you have a bigger audience, a bigger kind of community, a bigger email list, and you feel happy with like the whole vibe of it, and maybe you find like a creative way to experiment with it, then it could make a lot of sense, and you could potentially get like a nice little chunk of money off the back of a promotion for Black Friday. So that's a really interesting thing to consider, is it actually going to be worth it in terms of the cost of what it is that you're selling and how likely it is for you to actually sell those. It's also really worth saying that Black Friday is like, people's inboxes will be literally overflowing. They will be full of shit, to be honest. And people are less likely to read your emails. Like, that's just it's one of those things. It's going to be a really, really busy time. It's okay if you decide to just sit Black Friday out. Like, it's a bit chaotic out there. It's totally up to you. So again, there's really no right or wrong answer. It's really about weighing up, like, is there enough benefit back to your business? And really, we're talking about like in terms of profit and income to make it worthwhile participating. And even for my business, like, that's a fine line. The last couple of Black Fridays that I've done, I've made some income, but nothing like groundbreakingly incredible. And, and I really need to kind of like weigh up how I feel about it. And, I am going to do a Black Friday offer. I've already decided, but I really had to sit with it for a while to kind of figure out how I felt about it. And a lot of it comes from, and I mean, I always default, and this is not perfect, but I generally default to, how do I feel about stuff? I don't mind Black Friday. I quite like looking through stuff on Black Friday, especially like business stuff and, software and tech and all that kind of stuff. I quite enjoy it. And actually it feels quite fun to participate in. So I'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. But those are some of the things that you want to consider. And then, like I say, if after all of that you decide, actually, yeah, it does make sense for me to run a Black Friday deal or an offer, it feels fun, it kind of fits in with my brand, like I feel like I could actually get like a decent return on that time and effort that I'm going to put in, yes, I'm going to give it a bash, then here's a few things to think about that might be helpful. The first thing, in something that I am going to do right now actually, is I'm going to let people know what the Black Friday deal is going to be ahead of time. And that means that they can budget for that, they can be more intentional about those purchases, which again makes me feel better from an ethical point of view, that there is a slightly less pressured decision making. So they've got a bit more time, so they can think, all right, Laura's offering that, I've been looking at this course or this, and that's actually, I'd really love to spend some money on that. Like, so that is something that you can do. Again, like I say, maybe it's a week beforehand, a couple of emails that you will say, Black Friday's coming up, this is the deal that I'm offering, look out for it when it comes up. If you've been thinking about, any of these courses or programs or offers, then this is what's coming up, and this is when it's going to start, and this is when it's going to end. And then you're letting people know, and that really helps them, take intentional, considered action when it comes to interacting with that offer, which I think, again, kind of helps, temper some of the ethical concerns that you might have with the whole thing. And like I've said before, it's okay to experiment with these things. It's okay to give things a try. When I think back, I think I did Black Friday once and I was like, oh, I didn't really do anything. I didn't get a lot of sales. I won't do it again. And then I forgot that I thought that. And then I did it again, and actually I got much better results from it. And, it was certainly worth doing. And like I say, I'm going to do it this year. And really, for me, it's just like, oh, I'm going to give it a bash. It feels like fun. And like I say, for me personally, I try and look at things like whenever I get down to the point where like, oh, it's here or there, I try and go with, what do I feel good about? How do I feel about stuff? And like I say, personally, I do try and shop small to counter some of like the huge kind of corporate stuff that goes on. But we're not big corporate businesses. We're small, one-man bands for most of us. We're small teams. It's the time of year when people are looking for stuff. And like I say, in amongst the backdrop of lots of other things going on in the online space, like, it's fine to experiment. And that's certainly the approach that I take, is to just experiment and see what happens without any particular like attachment to any particular outcome, and just to see how it all goes. Another thing that you might want to consider around Black Friday, and this can be applicable to your offers or to other people's, and that's affiliates. So if you are organised enough, which I am not, to have affiliates for your products and your offers, then then this is a great time to drop them a line and say, "Hi affiliates, I am running an offer over Black Friday. This is what it is. Would you like to promote it? And this is what I'm going to give you in return." Like, get on that, because it's a really, really great time of year for that. And also likewise, if you are an affiliate for anyone else or for any other things that people might be selling, then now's a great time to promote those as well. Like, that might actually feel much better to you than promoting your own stuff, as Black Friday offers is actually promoting other people's stuff and getting an affiliate cut. So that's something to consider as well. I have seen some fantastic roundup emails where people have listed like all of the best, offers for their audience over Black Friday, so that they've made a killing on affiliate income. So that's something I probably will try and do at some point actually for my list. Even though I'm going to promote my own thing, I think I might also have a list of deals that are other people's stuff that I'm making people aware is also having an offer on right now. So affiliates is a really great thing to think about too if you are considering getting involved in Black Friday in any way. So there we have it. That is a quick run through as to whether or not Black Friday is going to be right for you and your business to run a deal. I am going to reveal what my Black Friday offer is going to be a bit earlier so that you guys can prepare for it. Basically, I'm going to offer 50% off all of my digital courses and products, and you will also get a bonus week of Voxer access to me that I'm going to run in January. So everything that I've got, all of my different courses, Prices Power Hours, create your aligned offer, Enchanting Challenges, Pinterest Magic, Blog School, the Unboxed Guide to Niche and Messaging, they're all going to have 50% off. You can grab them between the Thursday night, I think probably I'll launch it, to the Monday night, over like the Black Friday kind of period. And like I say, anyone who buys in that period of time will get access to a free week of Voxer, where you can message me on Voxer with any questions that you've got over the space of a week, and I'll probably schedule that week for sometime in January as well. So that is going to be my Black Friday offer. We shall see how it goes, and yeah, I would love to know if you found this helpful and interesting. I think it is a really interesting topic. Like, I just felt like, oh, this is a good one to talk about, because I think there's so many different things that we want to consider with it. And it's not going to be right for everybody for like a multitude of reasons. Like, literally, if you heard me say Black Friday and you thought, oh my God, no, like, that's fine. Like, you do not have to do it or participate in it. Your business is not going to miss out on anything, Like I say, there's a million emails going out around that time. It's chaotic. But I think, for some of you guys, it will be the right thing, and it will be fun and experimental to do. And, for you guys, then let me know if you're going to decide to do it. I'd love to know. Leave me a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe as well. Leave me a comment and let me know if you are going to run a Black Friday sale or offer in your business, or if you're not. I'd love to know. I will see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.